Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the war. This is a war for the survival of our people. Not only for the survival of our people, but for the survival of life itself. And those are the stakes. But this war is unlike any other war that we've seen in history. There are no bombs or bullets, or missiles or armies, or guns or guillotines. This is a war on spirit. We have the good fortune of representing spirit. But the fact that we represent spirit is why we have no choice but to take the high road. Because only the high road leads to the moral high ground, and that's what we must seize. Now, the war on spirit is today raging everywhere on this planet, and it is a war the outcome of which will determine the fate of mankind and all life on earth. It is a war that touches upon every aspect and dimension of what it means to be a human being, to be a living, sentient, conscious being having a past, a present, and a future. You may not have heard of this war or thought about it much at all, and there's a reason for this. The mass media functions like a planetary platonic cave. As Noam Chomsky has noted, the mass media have been morphed into mechanisms for manufacturing consent, and the controlled corporate plutocratic media have a vested interest in not publicizing the war on spirit. The war on spirit is an organized, elite-driven assault on all the peoples of mankind, their respective freedoms, environments, homelands, cultures, belief systems, dignity, and independence. And those are real words, not words like the plutocrats use to hide their crimes. Economistic mechanism materialism is at war with organic vitalism spiritualism. Mammon is at war with beauty. Every other struggle is a subset of this existential battle. Now, the conflict is raging and growing more severe and pronounced, even as ever more elite engineered divide and conquer balkanization, i.e. multiculturalism and diversity, is promoted by the international tyrants in the global plutocracy. Now, the war on spirit has been with us for a very long time. For example, once the medium of exchange, and one of the previous speakers mentioned this earlier, that money is debt. Money is debt, money is a weapon. Money is a mechanism of exploitation and a medium of control. That's what money is. And once the money became fungible, and once the medium of exchange became fungible in the form of money, it was inevitable that economic materialism would embark on a quest to transform the world in its image. Humans must become fungible. Religions must become universal. Everything must succumb to and be subsumed by mammon. And anything standing in the way of commerce must be plowed under and remade in the image of a rootless, anomic, raceless, ahistorical consumer society. Ancient conceptions of the sacred and mystical have been atrophied, and this process of atrophic decay has been a tragedy for all the peoples of mankind. The conception that mankind are composed of tribes and races within a harmonic, organic, holonic totality is infinitely preferable to postmodern ennui and soullessness. Abstract concepts can be deadly, particularly if they divorce consciousness from reality. Mankind, we all need a new paradigm, a fresh, life-affirming perspective to perceive the cosmos. That is to say, visible creation. Because if you look all around you, everything inside you, outside you, to the stars, look through a telescope, look through a microscope, everything you can see. Visible creation. We need a new paradigm. The old dogmas and blinders must crumble and give way. It is necessary to rethink the meaning of the sacred. Once the medium of exchange became liberated from use value, that is to say, when the medium of exchange became fungible in the form of money, economic materialism declared war on spirituality, organic life harmony, and the old values of truth, goodness, and beauty. The money power of economic materialism would slowly but surely expand, grow, and consolidate itself. Gradually, it would eat away at the organic orders, the aristocratic values, and the supernal systems of thought, the very consciousness of Western man, as well as the respective consciousnesses of all the peoples of mankind. Eventually, ideologies and paradigms such as Darwinism, and yes, Darwinism is an ideology, and I'll explain why I think that later. Darwinism, Marxism, Freudianism, they were all developed and promoted, and these new isms, all these new paradigms and worldviews, all seem somehow to always have as their target the conception of mankind as composed of organic, holonic peoples and ethnocultures. The development of fungible, abstract, detached exchange value, and I want to make reference here to Aristotle's discussion of commodities, money, barter, usury, exchange value, and use value. So the development of fungible, abstract, detached exchange value helped to unleash the forces of economic materialism. And as we witness the course of history, we can see an ongoing world historical struggle taking place. And this titanic clash, which is not yet over, is being waged between vitalism and mechanism, between spiritualism and materialism, between particularism and universalism, between soil and profit, between blood and commerce, in short, between beauty and mammon. Marxism fetishizes the economic dimension of the struggle and transforms the economic dimension of the struggle into the struggle to end all struggles. But as sure as I stand here, I tell you now that Marxism is built on lies about everything, from the nature of mankind, to the meaning and purpose of human existence. In this struggle, and this is an important point, in this struggle, mammon capitalism is allied with radical egalitarianism. That's another way of saying that it has institutionalized the lie of human fungibility. And if you disagree with totalitarian human fungibility, you are a heretic. Well, then count me in as a heretic. Step by step, as we see with Peter Sutherland, the global plutocracy and the so-called refugee crisis, the international plutocracy has moved to transform homogeneous, sovereign nation states into globalized, neo-feudal, balkanized, standing reserve cash cows to better service the needs and hegemonic objectives of Zionism and plutocratic international finance. So now I'd like to turn, with that in mind, remember, keep in mind those 5 groups I told you about and the words I've just spoken, and now I want to talk about how did the social justice warriors, the Zionists, the plutocrats, the militant non-whites, and the bold politicians, how did these people come to possess the moral high ground? Well, one reason is, this is in part, Karl Marx, and another reason in part is Charles Darwin. Marx employed noble sentiment, revolutionary ideas, beautifully crafted rhetoric, and a seductive ideology, and he synthesized his creation into an enormous yet cohesive body of work that appealed to a vast number of disenfranchised or otherwise dissatisfied people. And these disenfranchised people evolved into today's cultural Marxists. They are the children of Marx. Among the most well-known lines from the Communist Manifesto is the following: "The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles." What that means is that with this one sentence, Marx sets the tone for his materialist conception of history. When you take Marx's agenda and you strip away any sense of the transcendent and instead perceive reality through the prism of materialism, you get modernity, the world in which we exist today. Our science, much of our culture, our economics, our values, the very air we breathe, we are immersed in a reality in which the doctrine of materialism is accepted as unquestionable fact. This is no accident. This is Marx's true, lasting revolution. The materialist outlook extends to every conceivable thing, from the subatomic to the cosmic. Materialist science tells us that ultimately existence is merely matter in motion, that there is no profound reason, deeper purpose, numinous meaning, or supernal causation to anything. The universe is, according to materialism, the result of an unguided expansion called the Big Bang. We are as so many billiard balls colliding into so many other billiard balls. There is material causation, and that is all there is, period. And this materialist paradigm has dire consequences for all the peoples of mankind. Take a look at our own people, the European descended people. Consider the ongoing refugee crisis. Peter Sutherland, Satan's right-hand man, looks at a human being and sees cheap fungible labor, equally interchangeable economic units of production and consumption. Identity, soul, spirit, blood, soil. Sutherland is blind to these qualities. And if Sutherland is right, then yes, why not open the borders? Why not eliminate nation states? Why not transform the world into one giant marketplace where the highest aspiration is profit maximization? Why not wipe out the diversity of the peoples of mankind? But what if Marx's materialist conception of history is wrong? What if Aristotle's position regarding formal causation, efficient causation, and final causation is correct? What if Plato was right about the human soul, that it survives the death of the body? Then Marx is wrong. And I'd rather believe my ancestors than Marx's. But is methodological naturalism the only perspective? Oh, excuse me, I skipped over something. Darwin. Darwin is another exemplar of materialism. Now, Darwin wrote On the Origin of Species, but what Darwin did not do is copyright reality. Darwin recognized that change occurs over time, and he saw nature's incrementalism from the perspective of methodological naturalism. But methodological naturalism is not the only perspective from which to view nature's incrementalism. The emergence of life, sentience, and consciousness, the bio-friendly laws of forces of nature, as well as the progression of the cosmos from the Big Bang seed-like singularity to today's visible universe, suggest that perhaps nature's incrementalism is actually goal-based teleology, as consider Aristotle's notion of final causation, specifically consciousness and spirit. And this would help explain why, in Aristotle's teleology, thinking is godlike, abstract contemplation is the highest end in Aristotle's scheme. The materialists view the cosmos as a mechanical device, as a watch or as a machine. But is it possible that the cosmos is more akin to a living organism? Or, if there's a multiverse, perhaps a superorganism? Because after all, what is the multiverse if not self-replication on the grandest scale? Again, what if materialism is wrong? What if the Big Bang was not an unguided expansion of space-time matter-energy? What if instead the Big Bang was an ordered expansion of space-time matter-energy? That is to say, what if the Big Bang was analogous to a seed sprouting? And as to who or what is ultimately responsible for this big seed, there is of course no way for us to know, but Aristotle's notion of the unmoved mover is a sound hypothesis. The materialists, that is to say the cultural Marxists, are free to continue adhering to an atheistic, materialistic, evolutionist paradigm. But we are equally free to begin adhering to a theistic, spiritualistic, teleological paradigm. And by doing that, we take possession of the moral high ground. Not because adhering to a theistic, spiritualistic, teleological paradigm is thereby expedient, but because it is the soundest position to adhere to. It's important to note the following distinction. Evolution, understood as change over time and as common ancestry, is of course true, scientific, and undeniable. Evolutionism, on the other hand, is the philosophy of nihilism. That materialism is all there is. Evolutionism is therefore nothing but atheist metaphysics. I propose that it is undeniable that the cosmos has gradually, incrementally, spontaneously self-organized, from the very small to the very large, and that the peoples of mankind are teleologically unfolding parts of that gradual, spontaneous, incremental self-expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots, the old world is dying, and a new world is being born. But what kind of world will it be? To answer this question, we must comprehend that we stand today at a critical juncture in history, at a world historical fork in the road. It is our decision to make. It is up to our generation to choose in which direction the world will go. The path our generation chooses right now today will determine the kind of planet our children will live on, and whether the blood of our ancestors has been spilt in vain. What are these two paths? One of them leads ineluctably to a hellhole characterized by ecological devastation, the eradication of national borders, overpopulation, scarcity, perpetual internecine warfare, exploitation, tyranny, species extinction, and the death of beauty. It is a world in which mammon is victorious. This is the world of global plutocracy, in which we are all of us, regardless of race, creed, ethnicity, or religion, reduced to wage slaves, neo-feudal serfs imprisoned on a planetary plutocratic plantation. The other path leads to the stars, to immortality. To truly explain the choice that lies before us, I again turn to the words of Alexander Solzhenitsyn. These words are taken from his lecture entitled "A World Split Apart," delivered at Harvard Class Day afternoon exercises on Thursday, delivered at Harvard Class Day afternoon exercises on Thursday, June 8th, 1978. These are Alexander Solzhenitsyn's words. Even if we are spared destruction by war, our lives will have to change if we want to save life from self-destruction. We cannot avoid revising the fundamental definitions of life and human society. Is it true that man is above everything? Is there no superior spirit above him? Is it right that man's life and society's activities have to be determined by material expansion in the first place? Is it permissible to promote such expansion to the detriment of our spiritual integrity? If the world has not come to its end, it has approached a major turn in history. Equal importance to the turn from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance. It will exact from us a spiritual upsurge. We shall have to rise to a new height of vision, to a new level of life, where our physical nature will not be cursed as in the Middle Ages, but even more importantly, our spiritual being will not be trampled upon as it is in the modern era. This ascension will be similar to climbing onto the next anthropological stage. No one on earth has any way left but upward. So I say to you, my fellow patriots, and to all people of goodwill, regardless of race, creed, ethnicity, or religion, that now is the opportune moment for decisive action. This is the world historical moment for the European peoples and all the peoples of mankind to, at long last, lift our heads and proclaim to the forces of international plutocratic tyranny, enough is enough, freedom. So I leave you with these words. Thank you.